Mike here from Modern Arcade's Does It Hold Up, and today we're going to talk about a relatively recent game from the PlayStation 3 era, 2010's Alpha Protocol. For the uninitiated, Alpha Protocol is an espionage role-playing game in which you play as Michael Thornton, a brand new recruit to the top-secret government agency Alpha Protocol, and are immediately flung into a conspiracy plot that takes you all over the world in an effort to find out who your true enemies really are and what you're ultimately going to do about it. This game came out hot on the heels of the first couple entries in the Mass Effect series, and the inspiration isn't hard to spot. Cover-based shooting, upgradable skills, weapon specialization, a customizable protagonist, dialogue trees, a relationship system. The comparison is definitely there. But where Alpha Protocol really sets itself apart from similar games is the dialogue system, which lets you choose whether to engage in conversations in a professional, suave, or aggressive manner. The designers of the game compare these approaches to those of three famous JB spies: the professional Jason Bourne, the suave James Bond, and the aggressive Jack Bauer. This dialogue system works extremely well, as you'll have to learn what attitude to bring to the table with each member of the supporting cast. And it's not always as simple as you might think. One character might respond well to professionalism in most cases, but prefer aggression when the situation calls for it. Another character might find the suave option off-putting until you've built up a foundation on your relationship. And sometimes you want to make an enemy out of someone to make them become reckless, for example. You really need to carefully consider multiple factors like these in the dialogue sections. It's not just a binary system of being nice or mean like some other games have. Your relationships with the characters from various agencies will determine what missions you have available to you, what weapons and intel you can buy, and yes, who you get to romance. But unlike similar role-playing games, the possibilities aren't limited to a static set of opportunities that you may miss out on in the wrong circumstances. Everything you do in the game is driving toward a complete experience, with every decision you make having some kind of outcome, whether it's big things like earning cash, weapons, or allies, or small things like a simple stat boost. With the sheer amount of decisions you get to make in this game, no two playthroughs will ever be quite the same. If this all seems like a bit of a mess, that's because it kind of is, but the tone of the game is such that it all just kind of works in a USA Original Series kind of way. And unfortunately, that's about where the praise for this game ends. The dialogue and decision-making systems are great, but they're attached to an extremely mediocre gameplay experience, which really keeps the game from ever achieving that AAA feel. Considering that the core gameplay of the title is that of a third-person shooter, you would think that making that part of the experience as satisfying as possible would be a priority. But instead, the gameplay just feels sloppy. You can choose to upgrade your proficiency with pistols, assault rifles, SMGs, and shotguns, but most of the weapons are pretty useless without some serious stat points put into them, and you still need to upgrade your character's skills in other areas like stealth, gadgetry, and fighting proficiency. As a result, it's usually less hassle to just dump all of your skill points into pistols and stealth, which fundamentally breaks the game. With just a handful of points thrown into these two areas, Michael Thornton becomes an invisible death machine, blind-firing pinpoint-accurate headshots from behind cover, briefly becoming invisible when crossing an enemy's line of sight, temporarily jamming security cameras and turrets that spot him, and gaining the ability to run right up to a boss, slow down time, and instantaneously pop off multiple headshots, ending the fight immediately. I'm not gonna lie, going through the game like this a couple of times can be pretty fun. But your game is broken, Obsidian. But broken as it is, there's something undeniably charming about the game that draws you in, as evidenced by the fact that the game was received poorly at launch, but achieved a bit of a cult status in the last few years. Revisiting the game after 8 years wasn't exactly what I'd call a rewarding gameplay experience, but I can't deny that I had fun with it even while staring its flaws right in the face. The game just scratches an itch so very specific that I can't even picture another game to compare it to. Splinter Cell meets Mass Effect doesn't quite cut it. Alpha Protocol is a beast all its own. But unfortunately, a renewed appreciation for the experience of Alpha Protocol doesn't quite make up for the fact that time has not been particularly kind to the game itself. So, does this beautiful disaster of a game hold up? It pains me to say it, but my answer is no.